Richard Lockhead, what have been your big achievements then in this Fisheries Council? What's the result for fishermen in Scotland?
Well, as ever, it's been a gruelling 48 hours at these end-of-year fishing negotiations here in Brussels, but we have made progress, which is good news for the fishing fleets back home, and of course the industry represented out here in Brussels have come to join us for these talks. First and foremost, there will be no cut in days at sea, and that's the time that our fishermen are actually allowed to spend at sea, and that was a big anxiety for the sector because there was that threat, that cloud of uncertainty hanging over these talks that the European Commission wanted to cut days at sea. So that has been frozen, there's no more cuts. And that's good news indeed for the fleet and removes that concern. In terms of the quotas, of course, as ever, there's a mixed bag under the long-term management plans, and according to scientific advice, some quotas have gone up and some have gone down. And in terms of some of the flexibilities we wanted to secure for some high-value fish stocks we've got in Scottish waters like monkfish, we managed to secure some of those flexibilities as well, which is good news in terms of the fleet being able to choose where to catch their fish at the right times and where the stock is, which is good news indeed for these high-value fish stocks.
Nonetheless, the fishing industry are calling this one notch of the belt tighter as a result of this. It's a very difficult industry, and every year they face last-minute talks that result in more cuts. It's not an ideal situation for them.
Well, last year, of course, we saw some stocks increasing in terms of the quotas under the long-term management plans. This year, we've seen some stocks increasing and some reducing. And I think the industry in Scotland and, of course, our scientists, the Scottish Government, we have to work together to make sure we've got sustainable fish stocks in our waters for the future. Things do look a bit more stable, and of course we do now have the reforms of the Common Fisheries Policy now on the horizon. This cloud of uncertainty we had coming into these talks, this threat of the cut of days at sea, the amount of time our fishermen can actually spend at sea to catch their quotas, was causing huge anxiety, and we shouldn't have that hanging over us when we come into these negotiations. So hopefully this will be the last time that happens. We can fix some of these crazy regulations that have this legal straitjacket that leads to this uncertainty, because we now have this reformed Common Fisheries Policy around the corner. So hopefully we won't have to go through that again. So as I say, we are moving towards sustainable fish stocks in our waters. Our fishermen have made huge sacrifices in recent years to conserve fish stocks. That is beginning to pay off. Yes, it means from time to time, of course, under the long-term management plans, some stocks go down, but others go up.
Do you think you've done enough to head off some of the negotiations that have been of most concern? You mentioned, for example, monkfish. There'll still be a 10% cut in monkfish. That's going to hit fishermen. That's not the only stock where there'll be cuts this January.
What we always try to ensure that is the results of the quota negotiations are in line with scientific advice. Otherwise, if we take bad decisions, we'll pay the price later on because the fish stocks won't be there to breed for the future. So that's why we've worked closely with our fishermen. That's why we respect the long-term management plans are now in place. It's not just always crisis management, it's long-term management plans. Sometimes that means stocks go up, sometimes it means the quotas go down. And we've had a mixed bag at this negotiation, as we always do. But where there have been big breakthroughs is the fact that this threat of the days at sea cuts, the amount of time our fishermen can actually spend at sea being reduced, has been removed. Last year we got a freeze, this year we get a freeze, and after many years of a cut in days at sea, that is bringing some relief to the Scottish fleet back home, which is good news indeed.
Just a last word on discards. How achievable is the discards ban going to be? You've got to put this into practice. The political agreement's been done here in Brussels. How are you going to achieve that? Are you going to be able to do that with cuts like these year on year?
One really important agreement we secured from the European Commission was the commitment to work with Scotland so we can put trials in place in Scottish waters as we move towards a really big challenge of discard bans in the coming years, because we have a big mixed fishery in Scottish waters, lots of different species swimming together. Therefore, if you catch one quota, you're not allowed to catch the other quotas, otherwise you'd have to discard. So therefore, that's going to be complex moving forward. It's very challenging. We have to get it right, and that's why we're pleased we now have a commitment to be able to put trials in place in Scottish waters as we prepare for these discard bans in the years ahead.